On January 31st, Nancy Guthrie vanished from her home in the Catalina foothills of Tucson, Arizona. 4 hours earlier, she had been having dinner with her daughter Annie Guthrie and son-in-law Tomaso Chion. 20 days later, the investigation is no longer just about a missing elderly woman. It is about timelines, rehearsal footage, 2 separate DNA profiles, and a question investigators have still not answered publicly. Who knew that house well enough to move through it in the dark? Here is what is confirmed. Nancy Guthrie was last seen on the evening of January 31st after spending time at the home of Annie Guthrie and Tomaso Chion, who live roughly 4 miles away. Around 1:47 a.m., the Nest camera system at Nancy's residence was manually disconnected. There are conflicting accounts about who drove her home. Some reports state Tomaso, others say Annie, and some indicate both were present. That inconsistency has not been publicly clarified. 9 days before Nancy disappeared on January 23rd, a video surfaced from the Ring Neighbors app. It showed a man late at night walking backward up a driveway in the Catalina foothills. He kept his back toward the camera, chin tucked, movements deliberate. That driveway was approximately 6.5 miles from Nancy's home. Investigators have not publicly linked that video to the abduction, but the timing and the geography have become central to online debate, and this is where the case begins to tighten. The January 23rd figure did something unusual. He maintained a backward orientation even when a dog barked. He did not turn. He did not expose his face. Security systems such as Ring and Nest rely on motion activation. There can be a brief delay before full recording begins. Walking backward could limit facial capture during those first seconds. That interpretation has circulated widely, though it remains an analysis, not an official finding. 9 days later, on February 1st, a man appears on Nancy Guthrie's porch. This time he walks forward. He approaches the camera directly. He taps the lens twice before covering it with a potted plant. The backpack in the earlier footage, described as an Ozark Trail 25L hiker pack with reflective safety strips, appears visually similar to the one seen near Nancy's house. That similarity has been noted publicly. Verification needed as to whether it is definitively the same item. 2 locations, 9 days apart, similar terrain, both in the Catalina foothills. Was January 23rd a coincidence or something more deliberate? Now consider the timing inside the house. If Nancy arrived home around 9:50 p.m. and the Nest system was disconnected at 1:47 a.m., that leaves nearly 4 hours. No public alibi for Tomaso Chion or Annie Guthrie during that window has been confirmed. Both lived together, meaning any alibi would potentially overlap. But suspicion alone proves nothing. So what does the evidence actually show? It shows behavior on the porch that some have described as confident, even familiar. The individual did not appear to search for the camera. He moved directly toward it. Is that ownership behavior or simply preparation? The answer matters, because the next development shifts the focus sharply. Inside Nancy Guthrie's home, investigators recovered 1 DNA profile. On a glove found roughly 2 meters from the house, they recovered another. The profiles do not match each other. They do not match Nancy's family, and they do not match anyone in CODIS. 2 samples, 2 unknown contributors. That is not theory. That is confirmed forensic data, and it changes the entire architecture of the case. If there are 2 contributors, investigators must consider the possibility of more than one person involved. The sheriff has publicly stated that an accomplice has not been ruled out. Attention turned to Tomaso Chion, a 50-year-old advanced placement biology teacher originally from San Giovanni Valdo, Tuscany, who moved to Arizona in 2006. He plays bass in a band called Early Black. By public record, he has no known violent criminal history. The gear worn by the suspect, a ski mask, nitro gloves, an Ozark Trail backpack, and a Belly B band holster reportedly worn incorrectly, has been described by some commentators as inexpensive and unsophisticated. Supporters argue that Tomaso, as an AP biology teacher, would be unlikely to make such basic tactical errors. Others raise the concept of calculated incompetence, the idea that deliberate clumsiness could be used to misdirect investigators. That remains speculative and unproven. The gloves are particularly discussed. Nitrile gloves are standard in biology laboratories. Having access to them would not be unusual for a teacher, but nitrile gloves are also widely available commercially. Their presence alone does not identify a suspect. Then there is the matter of access. Whoever entered Nancy's home appeared to know the camera layout and that she did not maintain active Nest subscriptions. That knowledge could imply familiarity, but it could also have been learned through observation, verification needed. Financial threads add another layer. Nancy's Catalina foothills property is valued at approximately $1 million. Annie and Tomaso's home is valued at roughly $650,000. Savannah Guthrie's estimated net worth is $40 million. The ransom demand was $6 million in Bitcoin. Was that number random or calculated? In May 2025, Tomaso Chion signed a durable power of attorney granting Annie control over financial and property matters. Legal experts note that such documents are routine in many circumstances. However, the timing, 8 months before Nancy disappeared, has been highlighted by online observers. There is no confirmed evidence linking that document to the crime. Search data reportedly showed Nancy's address being searched from Arizona beginning in March 2025, and Savannah Guthrie's salary searched in December. Allegations surfaced regarding possible connections, but verification needed as to who conducted those searches. Meanwhile, Annie Guthrie's vehicle was towed and impounded as part of investigative procedures. The sheriff described processing the car as standard practice. Investigators also searched the couple's home multiple times and examined their septic tank. Such steps indicate thorough investigation but do not establish guilt. Then there is Tomaso's bandmate, Dominic Evans, who has prior charges including felony burglary, robbery, theft, and embezzlement. There is no confirmed evidence linking Dominic Evans to Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. However, his criminal background has been cited in online speculation. The Bitcoin wallet associated with the ransom has shown no activity. The FBI reportedly sent a small amount to it as part of monitoring efforts. No one has accessed it publicly. If this were a professional operation, would the funds have been moved? Or does the silence suggest something else? And why send ransom notes to media outlets rather than directly to the family? Was it theater or fear? Each answer opens another question. On February 16th, Sheriff Nanos formally cleared the Guthrie family, stating they were cleared in the first few days and had cooperated fully, surrendering phones, computers, vehicles, and property access. In investigative terms, cleared means current evidence does not support charges. It does not preclude future developments if new evidence emerges. Height analysis has also been discussed. Some observers believe Tomaso Chion appears taller than the FBI's estimate of 5.9 to 5'10" for the porch suspect. That discrepancy, if accurate, could argue against him being the individual on camera, though it would not address potential involvement in another capacity. Ultimately, the investigation now hinges on forensic comparison. DNA profiles recovered from the glove and inside the house are being processed. Genealogical databases may be used to narrow potential matches. The evidence will either converge or it will not. The January 23rd video may prove pivotal for one reason: it creates a second date. If investigators conduct cell tower analysis for the area 6.5 miles from Nancy's home on January 23rd between 1 and 3 a.m. and compare it with data from February 1st near her residence, any overlapping device could become significant. That possibility has not been publicly confirmed, but it represents a logical next step in digital forensics. Nancy Guthrie remains missing. She has a pacemaker. She requires medication. 2 DNA profiles sit in a laboratory. A silent Bitcoin wallet waits. If the genetic evidence identifies a stranger, this becomes the story of a family caught in suspicion during a nightmare they did not create. If it connects to someone closer to home, the narrative changes entirely. So the central question remains, not what theory feels persuasive, but what the evidence will ultimately prove. And that answer is still coming.